Welcome, 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 welcome back to our annual luncheon, celebrating women, transforming lives. Doesn't it feel so great to be back in person? I know last year we did somewhat of a hybrid for those of you who, old friends, catching up. Last year we did sort of a hybrid. Some of you were probably here doing a kind of a watch party. We were just chatting before I took the microphone. It felt like, a time warp that all of us were in the last couple of years. So I'm so excited that we're back here for this such important event, and I cannot wait. For those of you who are returning guests, I've been up here for a few times. Once you're here at Bridge, you can't get rid of me. That's just how it goes. So welcome back. Good to see you. For those of you who are new with us this year, maybe joining us after the pandemic, welcome. I always like to say that with Bridge, you come to this luncheon, you get to meet the honorees, you get to hear the stories. You may leave us after the luncheon, but your heart will stay right here. And that's exactly what happened to me, my husband, who's walking around taking pictures of us. That's him. Hi, Trace. But for those of you who are new with us, let me just do a quick introduction of myself in case you don't watch Channel 7 on a regular basis, although I surely hope you will after today. But my name is Judy Sue. I'm a news anchor with ABC 7. Just last month, April of 2022, I celebrated 21 years with the station. I know I don't look old enough to be there for 21 years, but it's been that long. I grew up in Chicago. My family immigrated to Chicago when I was 11. We lived in Chinatown, Rogers Park, Morton Grove. I went to Niles West High School in Skokie, for any of you from that neighborhood. I went to U of I down in Champaign-Urbana, studied broadcast journalism, and came out and I worked for a little bit for the TV station down in Champaign. Then I was out in San Diego, and 21 years ago, I took this job to come back home, and it was always my dream to come back and work, actually specifically for ABC 7, because that was the station I watched as that young little girl dreaming of doing this one day. So it really, truly is a dream come true for me. At home, I have 4 kids, which is also hard to believe. My oldest is now a sophomore in college, although I was just telling Ann he feels like a freshman because that first year he was home, right, in his room on the computer. So he's back down at U of I studying aerospace engineering and doing really well. He's a whole lot smarter than me. And then I have a high school senior who's graduating this year. She just committed to going to Purdue, which I know we're going to talk about Purdue in a little bit too. So she'll be doing business there, so we're like a Big Ten family. And then I have an 8th grader and a 6th grader, 2 boys, 2 girls. So a big, busy family, but we love coming here every year when we have a chance to support because we love the mission of Bridge. And I was telling Mark that when I was walking in, so thank you. And you will too, if you're here for the first time. After this luncheon, you will know exactly what we are talking about. Okay, so without further ado, that's just a little bit about me. Let me go ahead and jump into the program, which we always start with our invocation. So let me do the introduction right now for Pastor Wendy Bolden, who is here to help us lead the invocation. Wendy serves as the senior pastor at Southminster Presbyterian Church of Glen Ellen, and we are so incredibly grateful to have her with us here today. Please welcome Pastor Wendy Bolden.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. This is one of my very favorite events. I always buy a table for my congregation, so yay. So there's good news and bad news. The good news is I do short prayers, okay? The bad news is I need a little introduction for this prayer. I grew up in a family that was half Catholic and half Baptist. And I am a Presbyterian, so, whoa, this moves. It moves. Wow. And so when I get up to a big group, I'm always aware that it's a diverse group. And it's like, oh, I don't want to offend anybody. Oh, I want to include everybody. It's a challenge. I looked up the meal prayer for the Church of Ukraine in the United States. Now, they are Christian. We usually think non-denominational, Protestant, Catholic, and we forget that there's an Orthodox church. The president of Ukraine is Jewish. So there's a lot of Jesus language here, but let's have our hearts embrace those people who are struggling for shelter as well and for food. Let us pray. Through the prayers of our Holy Father, O Lord Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy on us and save us. The hungry shall eat and be satisfied, and those who seek the Lord shall praise him. Their hearts shall live forever. O Christ our God, bless the food and drink of thy servants. For thou art holy both now and forever, and unto the ages of ages. We bless Bridge Community, and we bless the people of Ukraine. Let all the people say, Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. And you're right, that was short. We have a lot to celebrate today, but I also realize you have some food already plated at your table. So at this moment, I'm going to ask you to please go ahead and start it with your lunch. I will continue talking, though, so don't mind me. It's sort of like at home, lots of noise, the kids are going on, and I'm still talking. It's okay. So go ahead and get started with your lunch, but we do have a lot of people to thank up here, so I will take some time to go through that because we can't do this without all of our partnerships and our corporate support and our donations. So our $20,000 matching grant donor, DuPage Medical Group Charitable Fund, thank you. Our signature Ruby sponsor today, Becker Logistics. Our Emerald sponsor, Waterton. Our Pearl presentations today, Wheaton Bank and Trust, Naperville Bank and Trust, Bolingbrook Bank and Trust, and Glen Ellen Bank and Trust, all part of the Wintrust Community Banks. Our diamond sponsors, My Chef Catering, the McRitchie family, Old Second National Bank, and our centerpiece sponsors, as you look at those beautiful centerpieces, come to us from our Coldwell Banker Residential Mortgage Charitable Foundation, our very VIP sponsor, Ulta Beauty today, and our Opal sponsors, Bank Financial, Beeks Co., CatCon Inc., Intention Financial Partners, Messer Gases for Life. We would also like to thank York Print Shop for the lovely event programs. Now we're going to pause and applaud all of them. Okay, so also helping to make today possible are the members of the committee who planned today's luncheon for all of you. Will the following ladies please stand so you don't get to eat right away right now? Kay Searcy, Alicia Rasnick, Karen Wasensiak, and Jen Bistry. Please thank our ladies. Thank you. And also today are members of Bridge Community's Board of Directors, CEO Karen Wells, and our very hardworking staff. Please join me in thanking Ann Pitcher, Laura Jensen for their services to Bridge, and our steadfast co-founder of Bridge Communities, Mark Milligan, our former Celebrating Women Transforming Lives honorees, Margie Charpy and Vicki Joseph. Would everyone mention please stand so we can see your beautiful faces and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know I told you can eat, and then I make you pause and stand up. I apologize for that. But we wanted to see your faces and say thank you. I would also like to acknowledge the 36 2021 members of the Monarch Society who are here today. If you're a current member of the Monarch Society, please take a moment to stand, if you don't mind, so we also can say a thank you to you for supporting the 100-plus families served annually by Bridge Communities. Thank you for believing in our families and giving them the opportunity to fly. So thank you in the audience. Thank you. All right, now I mean it. We're going to pause so you can enjoy your lunch. Enjoy your conversations, your neighbors, and I will be back shortly with more announcements in the beginning of our program. So enjoy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption, but I do want to make one announcement at this time while you continue to enjoy your lunch. Do you see the beautiful centerpieces on your table? So take a look at that. There is also an envelope, so you can have a team captain at the table and maybe look for that envelope. The centerpieces were generously sponsored by Coldwell Banker Realty Cares Foundation. Now, in that envelope, take a look, each envelope contains instructions how you could take that centerpiece home today. And for Mother's Day coming up, on Sunday. So it's valued at over $50. You can do so by buying a $20 raffle ticket for a chance to take that home. Okay, so take a look at that envelope, and I will be right back. I met so many wonderful folks when I was just kind of walking around taking pictures, and I realized we do have a lot of first-timers who are here and supporting Bridge, and I am so excited to have you all here. Can I just give a shout out to Becker, the table, who I took a picture. Thank you very much for your support, our sponsor here today. And taking the time truly to learn all about Bridge and what they do. So before we get into the main part of our program here today, can we say a big thank you to Dominic, Alex, and the creative staff of My Chef Catering? Yay! For this wonderful service here for our lunch. So I just want to share a little bit of, I guess, my why. And earlier I joked by saying that once you're here at Bridge, they can't get rid of me. But I actually did mean that. And this is why. I was first introduced to Bridge, I can't remember, maybe 6 years ago, through my friend Ann Pitcher. Thank you, Ann. We were neighbors in the western suburbs, and I think my oldest, who's now a sophomore in college, he was just starting in high school. And Ann introduced me to Sleep Out Saturday. I didn't know much about it, but I have teenagers at home, I have 2 little ones at home, and I thought, gosh, these kids are taking an entire Saturday, and more than that, because they had to get ready for that Saturday, to sleep out in the cold and take hours to learn about Bridge, about raising awareness about what they do, about raising funds for what they do, and on top of all of that, learning about the need of our families here in our own communities, our neighbors, kids who go to the same school as them, and we just don't know that they're sleeping in a car or sleeping on somebody's couch or bouncing from one couch to another or sleeping in a shelter. So I was so impressed with that. We came out, we did a story, I pitched it to the station, we did a story on Sleep Out Saturday. I also came out and did a story, met a Bridge client, a woman who had just left an abusive relationship. I sat down with her young son, and we talked, we cried, we did her story, and I remember driving away from that story, and I thought to myself, for all of the terrible stories that we have to do on the news, that we have to cover, and for all of the inequities that still exist in our communities, and for all of the families out there who just need a little bit of push to gain that sense of hope again, that's what Bridge is all about right here in our community. I share that my family immigrated to here when I was young, when I was 11. And it was hard. There were a lot of days that I remember that, finding that sense of hope was hard for a young child. But we weren't homeless. So I can't even imagine what that's like. And now raising my 4 kids with our family, so we couldn't help but be pulled to Bridge. And then, of course, I pulled my husband in because I couldn't stop talking about it when I got home. So he comes to the luncheon with me. We take pictures, we share, we try to spread the word about Bridge. But here's what he is doing on his own. And here's just another story. We touch so many people within our circle of influence and what we can all do individually. Yes, I can go back on TV and tell the story to the greater Chicago population, but we can all do something. So he decided, he is a mortgage lender with Guaranteed Rate. He decided, you know what? I'll start a program just on my own. It's called Mortgages for a Cause. For every loan that closes with him, he designates a portion of his own paycheck and gives it back to the community, and Bridge has been a recipient of that. Yay, Tracy! But that's just what he wanted to do on his own. But now when you think about the ripple effect, right? So he happens to be in a field where he's the front face of people who are getting a loan, coming to our community, buying a new house, investing in a new community. What better way to invest in our community than to help our neighbors in need? And on the flip side of that, this is the ripple effect. He's also, welcoming these families into our community and then sharing with them information about these nonprofits in our community who are doing such great things. So it's like that full circle, and it keeps going. And so for all the lives that you all have a chance to touch in your circle and continue to spread the word, that's how we can really truly make an impact, each and every one of us. So that's just our why and why we keep coming back. And I meant it. You can't get rid of me now, Mark. I mean, once you invite me here, I'm here. Okay. As long as the station is willing to share my time. I do have to make it back in time for the 4 o'clock news this afternoon. All right. So now it is my pleasure. If you haven't found your why yet to support Bridge, you are, after you meet our honorees. So it is my pleasure now to introduce to you a very special guest whom we've been getting to know at our table. Our Celebrating Women, Transforming Lives 2022 young adult speaker, Hakim Jones. So Hakim came to know Bridge when his mother and siblings entered the Bridge program just a few years ago, when so much of their world was in complete chaos. Their family found Bridge communities, and through Bridge, they found new hope. Hakim has been writing poetry since he was 7. He has performed at several slams and competitions and speaks regularly for a variety of events and occasions. His first performance was at just 11 years old. In high school, Hakim was on the high honor roll and awarded first place in the Frederick Douglass Oratorical Contest presented by the Ideal Education Foundation. He is the recipient of the Agape Martin Luther King Jr. Character Award. Selected as a finalist to be an ambassador of the 100 Black Men of Chicago for Nissan Resume Challenge. He is an Illinois State Scholar, and that truly is just to name a few of the things that he has accomplished. Am I right, Mom? Yes. Just a few. Hakim has honed many of his talents at just 20 years old and now shares his gifts with others. He is a freelance photographer for hire. Yep, you can view his portfolio at his self-built website and online print shop, which Mom is so proud of. It's called HakimJmedia.com. I promise I was going to give the plug. HakimJmedia.com. He has some photos out there as well, so you can take a look at that. While currently pursuing a certificate program in Project Higher Ed from the College of DuPage, he is working as a paraprofessional at Guiding Light Academy, a therapeutic day program with services in behavioral, occupational, and speech language. We are incredibly honored that Hakim is here to share his inspiring journey with all of you today. So please welcome Hakim to the podium.
So much for that wonderful introduction. That is very well appreciated. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for having me. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you all today. My name is Hakim Jones, and I'm one of the many lives touched and transformed by Bridge communities. I first crossed paths with Bridge in early 2020, when they provided housing to my family during a time of great uncertainty, pain, and massive change. But the story of how we came to meet begins long before that. Everything I can remember about my early years growing up is full of happiness and memories that I can look back on fondly. I am grateful to my parents for that. They worked hard to make sure that we grew up with a better childhood than they did, and they were successful at this. Others regarded my family as simply wonderful and a model household. We didn't have everything, but we had a strong family unit, a hardworking father serving as breadwinner and head of the house, making a comfortable living for his family, a nurturing, loving mother dedicated to homemaking and raising 4 children. 3 of those children, my older brother, older sister, and younger brother, were my best of friends. I had the best playmate anyone could have ever asked for in my younger brother, Kamal. When we were little, we spent hours every single day playing with action figures and building Lincoln logs and Legos together. There were a couple of years where we would watch the Food Network channel, pretending that the goldfish we were eating as snacks during the time were whatever they were cooking on the TV. I remember us getting into plenty of trouble together as well in typical young growing boys fashion. Though we butted heads like any siblings do, he was also always the kindest soul I knew. Then there was my older sister, Nikki, who has always been the most incredible big sister. There was my older brother, Malik, who was a wonderful hobby partner. I have many fond memories of Saturday mornings spent downstairs watching the Science Channel and playing Mario Smash Bros. With him. There was my father, with whom I spent much time mulling over every question I had about existence, civilization, God, and whatever else had struck my curiosity at the moment. Then there was my mother, a human being with a capacity for love and service beyond comprehension. My earliest memories of growing close to her take me back to the second grade on our living room couch, seated before some lined loose leaf paper and a pair of pencils, one for myself and one for my mother. She had considered my love for reading to this point and decided to introduce me to writing as a way for us to bond together over something. Not only did I start to open up through our time spent writing, but I began a journey into a new art that would become a part of my life for a very long time to come. As I got older, I took all I'd learned from my writing with my mother and began to write my own poetry. I went on to become a veteran member of my middle school and high school spoken word team and a seasoned orator. I could have never predicted that a few simple haikus I wrote with my mother would result in standing before hundreds of people, sharing my words with the world. Beyond having a special bond with each of my family members, we were also a close-knit group. I have very fond memories of the 6 of us gathered in the foyer of my home, dropping eggs off the second floor with different sized parachutes in an experiment that I'd organized myself for us. We regularly spent time together as a family. All the way through high school, we ate dinner every single night at the dining room table together. It isn't hard to see that I grew up in a very nurturing household, surrounded by love, living out a childhood filled with rich experiences. But then one day, in 2018, things began to fall apart. I don't quite remember everything about that night, but the following events of the next 2 years. I think part of the reason for that is because it was a trauma response. There are fragments, however, that I don't think I will soon forget. I have not forgotten the sound of my mother's distressed voice from behind her closed bedroom door, rising in intensity and volume. Nor have I forgotten the loud thudding noise against the carpet floor from their room, which I would later find out was only a phone hitting the ground. My mother had discovered that night that my father had been cheating on her for quite some time. I will never, ever forget sitting at the dining room table with my sobbing mother, pleading with me to call my father on the phone and ask him to come home. Holding the phone to my ear, feeling a million miles away from the moment, mumbling yes and okay as he told me that he could not come back. And some time later, it was so physically painful to listen to the sobs of my siblings and my mother that night. I think it broke something inside of me that never really got fixed. The only way for me to survive was to shut off my emotions. All I can remember thinking is, I don't care, we never needed him. But at some point later, he did return home. He and my mother were attempting to work through their issues, but as time went on and more details emerged about the true nature of my father, it became apparent that this wasn't going to work between them. She was no longer willing to accept the treatment she'd been receiving all this time from him, and it made him angry. And his anger turned into financial abuse. Little by little, he stopped paying for things, leaving it to my mother to fend for herself and us, knowing she'd spent the last 15 years plus raising children at home. Very abruptly, she was forced to re-enter the workforce with no degree and very little formal work experience. She went out and found employment in an entirely new field of work, of which she had not been in before, at a company an hour away from the home. One day while she was away at work, I answered a knock to the door to see a police officer standing before me, looking for my mother. I took a message and he handed me some paperwork. It was a notice that Eddie, my father, had filed for divorce. The following summer was one of massive change and uncertainty. We moved out of the house that we'd all lived in as a family for the past 6 years into a nearby apartment complex. I remember hastily packing up whatever we figured would fit into the new place and throwing away all the rest. We lost quite a few belongings by the end. I remember feeling particularly sad leaving without my bicycle and my other recreational sports equipment that day. I spent a lot of time in heavy grief that summer. I had no car or license, so unless one of my friends picked me up, I was likely at home, sitting at the dining room table or sleeping on the couch. I had no room to myself any longer. I left for university that fall, more eager to escape the troubles of home than excited to begin the next chapter of my life. I spent lots of time worrying about whether or not I would have a home to return to after the fall semester of college had ended. But it was at this point that Bridge Communities had found its way into our lives. My sister had heard about the transitional housing program and recommended it to my mother, who was scrambling to find a way to keep us housed. My mother had applied for the program and entered it at the beginning of 2020. Bridge provided us with a 2-bedroom apartment in Naperville, covering living expenses for the entire duration of our stay. In March, I was incredibly relieved knowing that my family had now had a safe place to stay and a stable living situation. In March of that year, we were sent home early from school for the remainder of the semester due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I packed all of my things and prepared to leave school, though I was not sure exactly where I was headed. My 18th birthday had passed earlier that year in the summer, making me ineligible to live with my mother and brother. Thankfully, Bridge was gracious enough to allow us some time to figure out a plan for me due to the unprecedented times that we were facing. It was during this grace period that I met Miss Vicky Joseph for the first time. I'd come outside to help her bring in a few items she had come to drop off. Our interaction could not have lasted longer than a couple of minutes, but whatever it was that she saw in me that day prompted her to make a decision that would help change the trajectory of my life. It was Miss Vicky who decided, this young man can stay. While I was relieved at the time that I would be able to remain with my family, I had no idea how incredibly impactful that extension of grace would prove to be for me. But I was no longer in free fall like I was before. I knew that much. I was no longer unsure of how much lower I would go or where I would crash land, but I knew now that it was time for me to get off the ground and dust myself off. Getting to my feet took a while, considering the circumstances I had to adjust to. I was still having an incredibly hard time coping with how much my life had changed. I had fallen into a deep depression, and when the school semester resumed in a remote format a few weeks later, my performance was suffering. I finished out the semester poorly, below the minimum GPA requirement I needed to keep my scholarship. The process of getting back on my feet that summer began that summer with the help of the wonderful guardian angels sent to us by Bridge Communities. The generosity and kindness of these incredible people did not end with giving us an opportunity to live safely together. It proved to be just the beginning. They gave Kamal and me new dressers to store our clothes in, and a few weeks later, brought us these new beautiful bicycles. I felt a kindness from Bridge and from all those that helped make these acts of generosity possible, and instilled a bit of hope back into my heart. I began exploring the neighborhood as the weather warmed up that summer and discovered that we lived by a massive network of scenic bike trails, and spring brought renewed life with it. It was not long before biking became a daily activity and a hobby for me. I started tracking my rides and cycling increasingly further distances. It became routine for me to bike out to one particular spot to watch sunset every day, which eventually sparked my journey into photography. I was fascinated by the way the sun painted the landscape in ever-changing tones of light and illuminating colors and textures in unique ways. I began photographing the places I biked with my cell phone camera, and when I realized that I had a serious interest in photography, I bought my first DSLR camera. This August will mark the 2-year anniversary of the launch of my photography business and website, HakimJmedia.com. Though I was in a more stable place by the time the summer had ended, I still had a long way to go toward being okay again. I'd gotten back on my feet and dusted myself off, but I was still grieving. The only problem was that grief does not just disappear on its own, even if you shove it into a really deep, dark corner. It's also difficult to turn the emotions back on once you've operated so long without them to survive. To this day, I still struggle with opening up and being my usual old self around my family. I needed more time to process the last several years and figure out what it was that I truly wanted at this time. I remained enrolled in school, but decided that I would be taking the next year off. I took the summer to work and reflect and think about what might be next for me. That summer, as I figured things out, Bridge Communities blessed me once again in huge fashion, this time with a car of my own. A donor had a vehicle that they no longer needed, and Miss Vicky knew that it was the only way that I could get to and from work and my next school when I eventually decided on a new program. It was one of many strides taken forward toward piecing myself back together that summer. I also started therapy so that I could work on healing and not just surviving. I felt real stability for the first time in years. I knew that my mother was doing great with the program. She'd saved up quite a bit of money at this point with Bridge's help, and was beginning to look toward the future after we left the program. Eventually, we made the big leap. We bought a beautiful home in Oswego, Illinois, down the street from where we used to live. We were back home. We packed up once more, said our good farewells to our guardian angels, promising to stay in touch. Today, I have my own bedroom again, and a real bed to sleep on. We have our own backyard and our own garage for me to park the car I was gifted. We aren't struggling to make payments or worrying about where we'll lay our heads at night the next month. We don't live in fear of the lights or internet or gas being cut off. My wonderful girlfriend and I are coming up on 6 months of knowing each other, and I have a great job that I'm really passionate about, working as a paraprofessional at a therapeutic school for special needs students. Last week, my boss called me into her office to tell me that the administration team is very proud and impressed with how well I work with our students, and informed me that they would like to pay for me to go back to school. And most importantly of all, for the first time in a very long while, I genuinely want to be here. Not just for my family's sake, but because I want to see what tomorrow holds. So to the Bridge community family, I thank you with all my heart for seeing a family in need and extending a hand. You all did not just give us somewhere to stay while we figured things out. You got us back on our feet and set us up with the tools to make sure that we will always be able to stand on our own from here on out. Words cannot describe how grateful I am for this program and for everything that Ms. Vicky, Ms. Christian, and Ms. Tabitha have done for me, for the consideration they have given to me and my family. You all have saved my life, and I will forever be grateful. Thank you.
Tiffany, you can remain standing for just a second so we can take a look at Mom. Can we give Tiffany, Mom, a big round of applause, please? You know, there's only one person who's never happy that I come to the Bridge Luncheon. That's my makeup artist back at the station. It's true. Thank you, Hakeem, for sharing your story, for having the courage to open up to your family, to all of us. We really, really do appreciate it. Tiffany, I know you were sitting at the table telling me that you're just following their guide, but you know, you have been their guiding light. And I know that's true, so, okay. Thank you for everything that you have done. All the moms out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. Thank you, Hakeem. By the way, check out his website, all right? Check out his photographs. It is now my pleasure to introduce you today, our first ever couple honoree, sitting right there, who, no, yeah. Well, Tony, you're going to have to make it good. Tony Bish and Kelly. Okay, but give me a moment here. I gotta set you up. They are the recipients of the Life Transformed Award, Kelly and Tony Bish. So Kelly and Tony met in a Bridge Community's parenting class. After a divorce, Kelly and her 3 children were facing homelessness. Tony was a luxury home painting contractor when the Great Recession hit, and the bottom fell out of the housing industry, as many of us know. Through Bridge, Tony took career assessments and landed in the electrical field, and Kelly started her education and employment journey toward achieving her bachelor's in science, nursing, and graduated from Purdue University in 2019. They fell in love and supported one another while working on their individual and their family goals. This past summer, they married. Congratulations. Blending their 2 families into one of 9, and they are thriving in their marriage, their personal and professional lives. Recently, Kelly received the Daisy Award for Compassion and Dedication in Nursing, and Tony continues to receive promotions with his employer. Bridge is honored to celebrate the good work and love Kelly and Tony with their Lives Transformed Award this year. So Kelly and Tony, we celebrate the both of you. Please accept this award from all of us here today for all that you have achieved, and congratulations. So now you may come. All right. Yeah, no, you're not. There you go.
Thank
That's
you
for
so
the two
much.
of you. And I'm sorry you get to take a picture with my crying eyes, but that's what you get. Okay, the microphone is yours.
You can go first or me?
I really don't want to follow you, sir. That was amazing. There's nothing we could say that could ever amount to what you just explained there.
It really does move.
Thanks everybody for having us. I'm really honored and humbled to be standing before everyone here. And we wanted to take a couple minutes to just explain what Bridge did to the family for us and for our children. When I came to Bridge, I was broken and lost and had nothing. And Molly, with her team of expert angels, as Hakeem would refer to them as, was awesome. They set me up with the right direction, gave me the right focus, the right training that I needed to be able to get that stepping stone and move forward. For any of you that don't know, Bridge is not a handout. This is a hand up. This is a stepping stone to get people that just need that little extra push, to be able to step forward and do something more for their lives and for their children. I know our lives have changed dramatically between all of this.
Just a little bit.
As I said, I started with nothing in Bridge. I left Bridge, and what is that, 6 years ago?
To
now, almost?
2015 is when, yes, 2015 in the spring and then the summer.
Yeah.
And then we met in September, and the rest is history.
Yep. And we're all thriving. The children are great. They're all grown a lot more than they were when we were in Bridge now. We don't have little tiny ones anymore.
I
Some
still
of them
call
have,
them the littles, though.
Some of them have moved out and on and are successful in doing what they can to be productive members of society. And we continue to do everything we can to be productive members of society. I'll let Kelly explain a little bit about what she's been through and what she's doing now. But I'm very grateful for this whole program and for everyone in here, for all that you guys do. It's changed my life, saved my life, and saved my kid's life. So thank you.
I love you. So I left my ex-husband when our marriage fell apart in 2008, and it was the hardest decision that I ever had to make in my life. It really, really was. My ex-husband and I were unhappy, and I knew that I wasn't being the mother to my 2 children at the time. I wasn't being the mother that I knew that I could, that I wasn't being the mother that I knew that I could be. Does that make sense? Okay. I was working as a waitress and receiving some unofficial child support from their father while we were separated and living apart from each other. About a year later, he lost his job, and then the child support stopped, and that's the moment that I found out that I was pregnant with my youngest child. I was pregnant with my youngest daughter from a boyfriend who had later threatened my life twice. I had no idea what I was going to do. I wasn't going to be able to afford the rent in the apartment that I was living in down in Homewood. And my brother, who's younger than me, although he doesn't really act that way, he offered to buy a house for my children and I to move in with him up in Warrenville, where our parents and our older sister lived. I really did not want to do it. I fought it tooth and nail, but it was one of the best things that I ever did. We packed up and we moved in with my brother and left that other life behind us that was down there. Life seemed to be going good. After a few years, my brother and I both met somebody and started dating. Fast forward another couple of years, and we both wanted to take the next step with our respective relationships. I got engaged, and my brother wanted to sell the house that we lived in so that he and his girlfriend could move on and do, what they were going to do, because they got married in the future. Yes. Okay. So we thought about a perfect solution, and my fiance would buy my brother's house, and then that the kids wouldn't have to leave their lives and have their lives uprooted again. And then 10 days before what was supposed to be the closing on the house, I found out that he had been cheating on me for the last year of our relationship. And so that wasn't happening. He wasn't going to be buying the house. The relationship was immediately over, and so was the sale of the house. But my brother still needed to sell the house and put me in a situation where I didn't know what I was going to do or have a place for my children and I to live. My mother was talking with her therapist one day about my situation because she was very, very worried. And her therapist was the one that recommended Bridge Communities. So I contacted them and started the prolonged process of interview after interview after interview. And it started in the April of 2015. And in August, I was supposed to meet with my mentors from the church that was going to back me in the program. 3 days before the meeting, my case manager called and told me that the meeting wasn't going to happen. And because the church was backing out, and again, I felt like my world was falling apart. I had been through so much in the last year, and I didn't know how much more I was going to be able to handle. Then about a week later, I got a call from a different case manager named Molly. And she wanted to meet with me and hear my story. We went out for breakfast and we talked a lot, because I tend to talk a lot. She said that she thought she knew the perfect group for me, which was Families Helping Families. And a few weeks later, I interviewed with Vicki, and she is an amazing woman. The mentors, Florence and Cheryl, and it was a perfect match from the moment that we met. And I didn't even have the keys yet for the apartment, and Molly's like, okay, you got to go to this parenting class. And I was like, okay, basically it was like just whatever they say to do, just do it. You jump, you say how high. It was that hard to get into this program, and it was just something it was an opportunity that was given to me that I didn't want to I didn't want to waste whatsoever. And so I went to this parenting class. And it met every week, and then each week closer, to it ending, his seat moved up closer and closer towards mine. And then in the last class, we were there, and
I was writing notes.
yeah, we were writing notes back and forth to each other like
It
two
was
little.
like high school. It was really cool. Really
And
cool.
and see, the thing is, he's like, well, maybe since this class is ending, I should give you my number in case we have any questions about anything about this parenting stuff. And I said, oh, but won't Larry mind? And Larry was the gentleman who came in every week with him. Put a name tag on. We both had name tags on and the ages of our children. And they had matching name tags that had the same ages of children.
My brother, just to be clear.
Well, how was I supposed to know? It's 2015. He said, no, Larry watches the kids. That's why he comes to the parenting class to help with the kids. He's my brother. And I was like, whoo. So, yeah. So then, well, while I was
She loves to share that story, by
it's
the way.
a great story. So then we were worried that Molly wasn't going to let us date because, you know, she was our case manager for both of us. And she said it was okay as long as it did not interfere with our children or with our own individual progress in the program.
And not past 11 o'clock at night.
That is true. There's a very, very stern, strict curfew there. Yes, but I think that curfew was a good thing, though, because it made us go slower. It made us become more friends.
Bish. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it made us become more friends
Yes,
so that
no,
we
it
could
definitely
more of a growth and basis for our relationship. Okay, so then, if it wasn't for Bridge, you know, that's when I started going to nursing school over at COD, and it was through their scholarships and their grants that they connected me through. And then I continued on to Purdue, and I got my bachelor's degree, again with a scholarship from the Judy Foundation. And so all in all, with my bachelor's degree, like I would say maybe less than $1,500 out of pocket for the whole entire thing. That would not have been possible if it was not for Bridge. So not only do I have my career, but I have my life partner because of Bridge. Ta-da!
So now today, we have a large family that we're going to take cross-country in a couple months on a RV trip. Should be fun. But we're both doing very well in our lives. The kids are all doing very well, and we definitely owe it to Bridge. I don't know where I'd be right now today if it wasn't for the intervention that Molly and her team had in the Bridge communities. So we're very grateful. I got 2 more weeks and I'll be a licensed electrician in Illinois.
High five! Yeah! Can I read this?
Tony, I need some outlets fixed.
Can I
got
read
you, Ma.
this? Can I read this, the poem that's on here? Okay. Just imagine a butterfly flying from Maine to Mexico. Imagine a monarch butterfly, royalty. However, it was not always a butterfly. Before its glorious journey, it was egg, caterpillar, and chrysalis. It changed, became adult, and completed its
Multi-integrational.
There you go, say that word, please.
Multi-integrational.
Thank you, journey.
She went to college.
Imagine the life of Callie and Tony searching for safety and hope, leaving behind all that they treasured except for their children. Imagine starting over when you know that everything is stacked against you. They changed, found a new path and purpose, found each other, and are now deep into their new journey helping others. Callie, Tony, and the butterfly all had the courage to take their journey. They transformed and then changed the world around them to become a more beautiful place. Aww.
And we will spend the rest of our lives paying it forward.
Yeah, because the words "thank you," like they don't even know. No, they don't even do justice the amount of gratitude that we have for this program.
No, I will definitely spend my life paying it forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing your story and your love, and thank Larry for us for sharing you. I think it's appropriate at this point that we give all the caseworkers in this room a big round of applause, shouldn't we? Oh my gosh, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Tony, you just need Hakeem to design your webpage now. We're all a big family here. Thank you, though, truly, for sharing your story. So in our acknowledgments earlier, we mentioned the DuPage Medical Group Charitable Fund is providing a matching grant of $20,000 for all donations made in celebrating Women Transforming Lives Luncheon here today. And we are pleased to introduce you right now to Dr. Amy Stoufler, the chair of the Charitable Fund, who would like to share a few words with all of you here today. Dr. Stoufler.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy. It's a pleasure to be here in person. The last couple of years, I had to deliver a message on my phone in my kitchen, so it's nice to be here. I'm a proud Michigan Wolverine for the Big Ten family. So at Dooley Health and Care, if you didn't know, DuPage Medical Group is now Dooley Health and Care. And at Dooley Health and Care, we are committed to helping those in our communities thrive and flourish. And so outside of the clinic walls and our daily practice as physicians, we partner with many nonprofit organizations like Bridge Communities to help fulfill the goals of helping our communities flourish. For a past number of years, the DuPage Medical Group Charitable Fund has partnered with Bridge Communities to help them towards their goal of all this wonderful work that they do, helping our neighbors finding themselves homeless to find a better future. And as we've seen today, it's so successful every time. So at this event every year, we learn these stories and we see the resilience of the human spirit. So for that, the DuPage Medical Group Charitable Fund is pleased to partner with Bridge Communities and offer this $20,000 matching grant. So for every dollar donated, we will match up to $20,000. So I just ask you to join with us in supporting this wonderful organization today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stoufler. Karen, I'm going to give you a little, I got to do the handoff now. So thank you for your support to the Charitable Fund. So I have been watching my clock, part of the other job that I do every single day. So in order for me to make it back into the city and prep for the 4 p.m. news, I've got to say goodbye right now, but I'm going to leave you in the Karen's like, oh, wait, it's my turn already? I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of our CEO, Karen Wells. So she's going to take the microphone right now. Karen, the microphone is yours.
I'm leaving you off here. Okay, thank you, Judy. Ladies and gentlemen, Judy Sue, let's give her a round of applause. She is always so awesome, and we're always so honored to have, this does move. We're always so honored to have her here.
I'll see you on TV at 4 o'clock.
All right, thanks, Judy. I did thank you, Dr. Stoufler, and for the matching grant. We really do appreciate it. As you can see, our mission to support families at Bridge is so important. So thank you for your support, and we certainly invite you all to participate. And so in the spirit of giving, I would like to introduce, many people know him, Deacon Tom Tilgen. He was such an icon here at Bridge, was former director of programs. He led our program partnerships and our stewardship there. And I get periodic text from Deacon Tom of words of encouragement, usually scriptures. So if you want to be added to that text chain, you just need to let him know. He is currently the chaplain at Northwestern Medicine, and we're asking Tom to just come up and share some words and tell a little bit about his story. Tom, where are you? Let's welcome Tom.
Thanks, Karen. As Karen said, I'm Tom Tilgen, and I've been associated with Bridge Communities for over 23 years. I began my relationship with them in 1999 when my parish community, Corpus Christi Catholic Church, decided that they wanted to be part of the Bridge program and wanted to sponsor and support a family. And so we began our relationship, and I was a mentor with Bridge. And I remember my first client, my wife and I and another parishioner, we were the mentor team, and his name was Mike, and Mike had, Tony, he only had 4 children. He didn't have 5, right? He had 3 sons and 1 daughter, and I learned through that process of mentoring Mike and his family how important it was that the work Bridge was doing, and how much it gave people that had no hope again. People who were totally dependent upon everything that was out of their control to become independent and in control of all those things that we take for granted in life. They really didn't have control of those things, and the world was really kind of pushing them down. And so it was a great opportunity for me to work with them and begin to understand how Bridge worked. I guess I should look at my notes here. I began to see that the consistency of the mentors, how important it was. Imagine meeting with a family every week. Imagine someone coming into your home once a week, right? And kind of helping you decide what your budget should be, what direction you might want to take with some of the things going on in your life. And that's what the mentor team did. And they became just great counselors. And so I learned how important that was. I learned how important it was for someone to have a secure place to live, something that I had had my entire life, and something I realized that the families we dealt with did not have that, as Hakeem shared with you, as Kelly and Tony shared with you already today. And then I was blown away by the expertise of the Bridge staff. The knowledge that they had, the connections that they had, the ability that they had to work with the families in every situation, no matter how unique it was. And Hakeem shared some of the things they did with him. Tony, Kelly shared some of the things that they worked with them on. So guess what? In order to do all that, it takes money, right? It takes all that work, and it takes the program partners and the mentors, but it also takes money to support all those programs. So I would ask you to, in your program, there's an envelope. I'm doing the ask for the money today. You'll find the Celebrating Women and Transforming Lives envelope, and in that a card. That's a card where you can complete it and to join the Monarch Society. With your gift of $500 or more, you could become a member of the Monarch Society. And I would ask each of you to consider doing that and helping us support all those families that come to our Bridge communities each year, 100 or more families that we hope to help in the coming year. With your gift, it ensures that we have the resources that we need to support those families and the programs. And as you decide, remember that we also have the circle of, that the charitable fund that Dr. Amy just shared with us is matching up to $20,000. We want to match that for certain. So please, it's going to double your giving, whatever you give. And that's an incredible offer, so thank you, Doctor, and thank you for the DuPage Medical Group, for Julie. I would also like to just share why am I a member of the Monarch Society. I've been annually a member of it and supporting it because I love the work that Bridge does. I honor my wife. You can honor someone. You can honor just the gifts that you have in your life. And recognize that that money will be matched to the charitable fund matching as well. So I encourage you to make a transformative gift to help other people transform their lives. Now, if $500 is a little bit beyond your budget today, I ask that you consider a gift of any amount. Know that still 100% of that money goes to work for Bridge and what it does. And if you'd like to give on a more regular basis, the Circle of Hope is a group a giving society where they contribute monthly. That money will be matched as well. And if you're interested in doing that, see Amy. Where's Amy at? Amy Van Polen, right over here. She generates all this revenue for our organization. Thanks, Amy, for what you do. See Amy afterwards. And then after completing your form, just drop it in one of the boxes as you leave. If you don't have your checkbook with you, I can't believe it says that here. Do you guys still use checks? But if you do have it, I'm old school, I have checks, and you'd like to use your credit card, just see one of the staff as you leave and they'll help you complete that. But I just want to leave you with the thought that the work that is done by Bridge is unique. I've never seen it done anywhere else. And in my years of working for Bridge, and Mark knows this, Mark Milligan, our founder, we got contacted by people from all over the United States wanting to know how to run a Bridge program. And we would share with them. and they would go, oh, we don't think we can do that. That sounds too hard, or wow, what a challenge, or this is unique and it works because of you. It works because of your generosity. It works because of the many program partners. I want to acknowledge you who are here, the mentors who are here, and the families that are represented here too, their commitment to the program as well. So thank you, God bless. Be generous. Amen? Amen.
Thank you, Tom. We really appreciate that. I know we are a little bit over time, but please be patient. We do have another recipient that we want to present today. Our second award today is for Transforming Lives. Award goes to 2022 honoree Nikki Anderson. Let me tell you a little bit about Nikki before she, hold your applause. Nikki currently serves as the Director of Leads at Benedictine University, a groundbreaking 4-year co-curricular leadership program for women. She actually launched the program and helped to write the program. Previously, Nikki served as the first female CEO of the Naperville Chamber of Commerce after selling her business, Reality Fitness. Nikki is an author, as a columnist for the Chicago Tribune, the Daily Herald, and a contributor to numerous magazines, including Simple, Family Circle, and Prevention magazines. Nikki has served on many nonprofit boards, including SamariCare Counseling, 360 Youth Services, and is currently on the board of directors for Loaves and Fishes in Naperville and Aurora. Nikki volunteers for District 203 Incubator Program, Alive Center, and Innovation DuPage. I don't know how she has all this time, but this is amazing. Nikki has been recognized for several awards, including the Harder Award and the Education Center's Making a Difference Award. Nikki lives in Naperville with her husband, Bill. They have 4 grown children, 2 grandchildren, and 2 grand cats. Never heard of that. Bridge Communities is honored to add Nikki to our list of accolades in this year's Transforming Lives Award. Let's welcome Nikki Anderson. We have to take one picture.
Okay.
I have my high heels on and she has her flats.
Okay. Actually, I have my heels on.
Oh, well. They seem flat to me.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody. Wow, I have to follow not only Hakeem, but I have to follow you too. So here we go. When I was contacted about receiving the Transforming Lives Award, my first thought was, why me? There are so many other deserving people who have done far more with transforming lives than I. We heard a lot about that today. We're hearing a lot about that today, but here I am. And what a privilege and honor to be here with all of you to celebrate Bridge communities and lives transformed through their work. I had to think long and hard about what my role has been in transforming lives. And my conclusion was, it's nothing that I have done alone. I've been connected to someone in need of support, direction, respect, and offer my support, and that person is inspired to reach their potential and transform, but it wasn't just me. It was a community. I've been hearing a lot about that today. It was a community that stepped up and stepped in, and I happened to be lucky enough to be a willing contributor. For example, when I was on the board at 360 Youth Services, we lost funding for our women's transitional housing program. We had to act fast. Sure, I came up with a solution that helped raise the money needed, but everyone jumped on board together, and we helped bring a solution to make the program successful. I did not do that alone. When I volunteer to help budding entrepreneurs pitch their business ideas to District 203, I'm not the only one giving them advice and direction. It's a team of tireless volunteers. When I drive students from a teen activity center as their only mode of transportation back home, without the teen center, there wouldn't be this opportunity to step up and step in. You see, many hands help to transform lives. When doing work that supports Loaves and Fishes, it is always, always a team effort. In my role at Benedictine University Women's Leadership Program, I have amazing people that I get to work with every day, and we work together to inspire and transform these young women as they become our future benevolent, impactful leaders. Pope Francis noticed each one of us is an instrument, a community instrument that participates fully in building up our community. So I consider myself an instrument.
working to be the change I want to see, the kindness I want to receive, the love I hope to grow. My way of giving, helping others, is how I try to live each day. If that helps others, well, then my efforts have been well worth it. Mind you, as an instrument, I hit flat notes from time to time, but I learn every day. In a quote by Kate Millett, she's an activist and feminist, to love is simply to allow another to be, to live, to grow, expand, and become. An appreciation that demands and expects nothing in return. What better way to support one's transformation than through love, support, and appreciation? I had the good fortune of having my titia, which means aunt in Portuguese, my titia during my childhood that despite a rough upbringing, she never stopped believing in me. Her unconditional love allowed me to open up and learn to trust others, who eventually became part of my transformation. You see, transformation really is a community effort. Take Bridge Communities, for example. It's not just one person transforming lives, it's a collection of people that all contribute to the transformation of others, including Kelly and Tony and Hakeem. Isn't that really a beautiful story? So as much as I acknowledge and express gratitude for the Transforming Lives recognition, I did not do it alone. It was a community effort. My kindness or outreach to others is simply part of the community that collectively shares love, support, and guidance, giving those that need it, which is the strength and belief to transform. George Bernard Shaw said, "I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do it for and whatever I can." So if that's the way I can help transform lives or be the change that I want to see, I am all in. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause to Kelly and Tony, Hakeem, and Nikki. Outstanding. We truly cannot do the work that we do without you. I'm so honored to serve with an amazing staff. I'm honored to be in the presence of our founder and his wife, still actively involved. Mark, raise your hand, please. And to keep this mission alive. And so I ask you today to just consider your support of Bridge and the families that we serve. I must say that the courageous and resilient families we serve, they are the ones that, with all the support of our staff and mentors and program partners, we must never forget that they're the ones that's doing the work. They are the ones that's stepping past their fear into courage and resilience. We often say, from homelessness to hope. And so I also want to make sure, thank you very much. It's too short. I am not going to talk like this. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not going to do it. So I will talk loud. So I do want to give a special thank you to a couple of folks here before you leave. I want to recognize Margot, who never puts her name on the list, because that's Margot. Margot's been with us 25 years. Margot and the team of volunteers that we recognized earlier are responsible for this amazing event. Can we give them a round of applause? We also want to say thank you to all of our Monarch Society members, and you too can join if you are not. To the lucky winners, please take the beautiful table pieces, centerpieces, and they are provided by Caldwell Banker Realty Cares Foundation. So thank you to Caldwell and Cares. Let's give them a round of applause. Was it nice to be back in person? Woo-hoo! May we all stay safe once we leave. We do have staff at the door. If you wanted to make a donation today, they will be collecting your donations. God bless and be safe.